The the restricted free agents in the NHL, being usually your young future star types, they don't have any leverage when it comes to their contract negotiations. Every year it's the same thing. Every year all the pundits say, "Oh, we could see an offer sheet this year." I don't know. Johnny Gaudreau's going to get an offer sheet. I'm telling you, they're going to offer sheet Tyson Barrie. Give me an offer sheet for Sean Monahan. It doesn't happen. And it doesn't happen because retribution. And I don't agree with that. I honestly don't agree with it. I if I'm a GM and I have an opportunity to pick up a Johnny Gaudreau and I believe he's worth the potential compensation I have to give up, say in a couple firsts and a third or first, second, third, whatever the compensation is for however much I sign him for, or 4 firsts. I say, you know what? Those 4 first-round draft picks, my team is really good. Odds are they're going to be in the 20s. I'm not going to find a guy in the 20s who's as good as Gaudreau. I'm going to roll the dice and sign him. But they won't do it because then when they have an RFA, that other GM will hit them the same way. I have to wonder if there was no salary cap, where we'd be right now. In terms of, yeah, salaries would be wacky. You'd have guys getting paid $50 million a year because somebody would offer sheet a member of the Hurricanes or the Coyotes or the Panthers thinking, okay, we're going to offer sheet this player from a team that doesn't have a lot of money because we'll get him. And that team says, we're not going to match. We can't. And then they get all the draft picks back. So eventually it all works out for them. But I don't know. Like it's weird to me, the whole don't you do it to us or we'll do it to you. But it's in the CBA. It's not like they're doing something that's against the rules. You let this kid get to market. It's a market. It's restricted, means you can match. But I can drive the price up. I can make sure you have to pay him through the nose. It's part of the reason Shea Weber's a Montreal Canadian now, because Philadelphia drove the price up on Shea Weber. Ryan O'Reilly's out of Colorado. Well, Calgary tried to drive the price up in the stupidest move in the history of hockey. Signed a guy as a free agent, and then he'd have to clear waivers to sign to join your team. The stupidest move in the history of hockey. That is easily the dumbest move in the history of hockey. And luckily for Calgary, Colorado matched and kept him. But because his salaries went completely out of whack, now he's a Buffalo Sabre. That's definitely part of it. But you have to wonder, like, with these RFAs, like Monahan, gets his 7 years, and he says all the right things publicly. And Cody Ceci gets, I think it was three years in Ottawa, and he gets a lot of money for it. How much more could they have gotten if the NHL didn't have this weird "don't you try it" attitude about RFA offer sheets? And really what it's going to take is one GM to do it, and the GM who has it done to him saying, it's all part of the CBA, it's fair. I remember when Kevin Lowe put in the offer sheet on Dustin Penner, and it was ridiculous. It was too much money for Dustin Penner. He was a support player, and sadly, for the rest of his career, he was known as the guy who got this big contract and couldn't justify it. And he was never that player. He was a good player. Once his speed left him, he was out of the league, but he had a few good seasons in there. And it was overshadowed by the Kevin Lowe Brian Burke feud, and Burke just went nuts. Like, how dare he? And it's like, the whole time I was thinking, but it's not against the rules. None of what the Oilers did was against the rules. They tried offer sheeting Vanek. Buffalo had to keep Vanek. Part of the reason Buffalo had problems from then on was that Vanek deal. They're paying him so much bloody money, and they weren't making a lot of money. This isn't the video you expected, is it? You expect me to just say, oh, Monahan got all kinds of money and that's great, and CC got money and that's great. But look how late it is in the summer. Are you going to tell me that if guys like Sean Monahan and Cody Ceci were available July 1st, and there wasn't this culture of, don't you do it, don't you put in that offer sheet, because then we'll fucking crush you. When you're up against the cap, we're going to offer sheet your players. The other part I find funny with that is, it's like, okay, so you're going to overpay their players? But aren't you against the cap? Isn't that how they got those guys from you? So you're going to screw up your internal salary structure just to get back at them? A GM of a team should be looking to make his team the best he can in the short term and the long term. Sometimes in the short term, a rebuild is necessary. So you need to add young assets and draft picks, and you need to look to that long-term picture. But if you can add a Monahan, you can add a Ceci, you can add a Goudreau, holy crap, you do it. But in the NHL, there's a mentality of no. Johnny Gaudreau was a top 10 scorer in the NHL last year. Take the salary cap away, okay? And then take away this mentality of how dare you go near our free agent? How dare you? But he's a free agent. He's free to negotiate with any team he wants. You guys can match what we offer. If you can't match it, we give you draft picks as per whatever salary level we put him at. His cap hit decides how much you guys get as compensation. We signed a collective bargaining agreement stating that we agreed on this. Why even have it? Why even have restricted free agency right now in its current form? Because apparently offer sheets are the devil. I just find it strange because in a cap world, let's just say in a cap world, and you don't have this weird archaic don't you dare touch our free agents mentality by GMs. You're going to tell me that a team like the Rangers isn't going to snoop in and like on July 1st. I'm not talking about now. I'm talking about July 1st. A team like the Rangers isn't going to clear up some space and pick Gaudreau for their team? That the Kings aren't going to do the same? Like big market teams. The guy's Johnny Hockey. He's going to sell tickets no matter where he plays. He's exciting. He's a fantastic young player. Basically, you print money and give it to him. You are in a position where you want your team to be the best. And in order to make them the best, you give Johnny Hockey what he wants. But that's the Flames' property. No, it's not. It's not. Restricted free agency to me is a sad affair among NHL players and teams that it could be so much more. But GMs would have to lose that whole he's ours mentality. Well, if he's that fucking important to you, why don't you sign him before July 1st? What about this? This is an interesting topic for discussion. What if Johnny Gaudreau's an RFA? Okay? He's a restricted free agent. And the Flames have, from the end of the season till August 15th to sign him. Now, August 15th is when Jimmy VC became a free agent. Everybody went nuts. Just imagine you have July 1st, you have free agent frenzy. And August 15th, you have free agent frenzy, the sequel. When all these young RFAs, who teams are lowballing and going, we're not giving you that, they become UFAs. Gaudreau, Monahan, Ceci, UFAs. Guys who signed contracts the first week of August, they're not signing them now. They're going to say, no, I'm good. I'm going to wait and see what the market offers. Would it drive salaries up? No. It doesn't drive salaries up because there's a salary cap. So what it does is it means that teams that have to be more creative in what they're paying all their players. And you're going to see a lot more veterans from July 1st not getting signed until after the August 15th RFA frenzy. GMs would, I think the challenge would be arduous, but the smartest GMs would show up immediately. Within 2 or 3 years of that system, you're going to be saying, this guy's the smartest GM in the league because he works both free agent frenzies perfectly. Because the UFA market, for the most part, is a wasteland. You'll see 2 or 3 marquee guys who might make a difference, and the rest of it is just middling guys. Middling guys go out, middling guys come in. And when I say middling, I mean, 25, 30 goal scorers, sure. But genuine superstars are never on the market. They don't get traded either, which is fine. It's hearkening back to an old age. But for fan interest, just imagine, okay, as a Vancouver fan, that Vancouver does nothing July 1st. Benning goes, market sucks. August 16th, there's a press conference, and Johnny Gaudreau is a Vancouver Canuck. 4 first-rounders are going to Calgary, and Johnny Gaudreau is a Vancouver Canuck. Just imagine the hatred Calgary would have for Vancouver. Not the GM, the fans, okay? Johnny Gaudreau, August 16th, is an Edmonton Oiler. Again, you can't write a greater script than that. Or Gaudreau becomes an Oiler and Monahan goes to Vancouver. And Calgary is gutted. They're gutted because they played hardball with their free agents, and the free agents said no, and the team lost their opportunity. You would see actual real turmoil with rosters. You would see actual real turnover, and the amount of stale, everything's the same that happens with NHL teams now, that would stop pretty quick. Hockey trades are very rarely made anymore. It's to the point where on free agent day, or not free agent day, on trade deadline day, when there's an actual trade that's a hockey trade, they'll say, we've got a hockey trade. Okay, let's look. This is a hockey trade, because 9 out of 10 trades are, Andrew Ladd moves to the Islanders at the deadline. They know they're out, so Andrew Ladd goes back to Chicago again. In exchange, Islanders get a first-round draft pick. And those trades don't make people, really, really happy. We want some actual movement. We want to see the best GMs at the top, and it just seems like the way it is now, an RFA market's not existing. I don't know. I don't get excited. Monahan signed 7 years in Calgary. All I thought was, okay, so he got term because he got money. Calgary went, well, if you want these amount of dollars, we're buying this amount of years. Cody Ceci. Okay, we'll give you this amount of money. Prove yourself. And then we'll see in a few years where we're at. You got it. Moves that could have been done by both teams on July 1st. And if restricted free agency became what I suggest here, which would be chaos, but it would force GMs to sit down and talk to RFAs on July 1st and say, here's what we're offering, and actually negotiate with them right away, rather than this whole playing hardball into late August thing. Because it's stupid. The players are going to get their money. It's just a matter of how long it takes for it to happen. And if you went to my system, the RFAs become UFAs August 15th, chaos. Sheer chaos. Imagine the teams lining up for Monahan and Gaudreau. And even Ceci. And Cody Ceci hasn't proven himself yet, but he's got the potential, and he's probably going to get there. So that's my take on these free agents. So for anybody who's like, oh, good, he posted a Monahan and Ceci video, this is going to be great. You didn't get what you expected, did you? Because I think RFA situations suck for the player. It sucks for the fan base, too, because as summer rolls along, you're thinking, geez, are we going to enter the regular season without this guy in our lineup? This is going to suck. Because these holdouts can go on for a while. And they're never resolved to... to anybody's happiness, they're never really resolved. And look at O'Reilly. O'Reilly, his divorce from the Avalanche, everybody seems to point to it starting with the free agent contract he signed with Calgary that Colorado was forced to match. And that was what started him out of town. Well, in my system, Calgary just gets him. Wait till August 15th and you get him. So anyways, that's my thought. I'd be interested to know what your thoughts are as well. And I think it's simple. I think that if we're going to have a free market, have a free market. You know, if a guy's coming out of his entry-level contract, oh my God, he's going to be a free agent. Okay. I don't see a huge difference between that and what we're seeing now. What we used to see was entry-level contract, bridge contract, and then you get your money. Now it's entry-level contract, get your money. So what's the point? Like, let them go UFA. Let it happen. Give a team an extended window to talk to the young guys, but then let them go UFA and just have a free-for-all. Because it's the only way we're going to see movement in the NHL anymore. The rosters we see right now are the rosters we're going to see up until about a week before the deadline. Then there'll be some moves between teams that are out of contention and teams that are in contention. Teams in contention give up their draft picks to get the players from the teams that are out of contention who go with young guys the rest of the way and don't try to tank for that number one draft pick, but they're not going to be upset if they get it. It's predictable and it's boring. And I tell you, if they shake up the RFA market, they'll get a hell of a lot more people watching. You get your July 1st free agent frenzy, but that August 15th free agent frenzy would be insane. TSN Sportsnet would get incredible ratings for that free agent frenzy. And players would get the same amount of money. I'm not saying, salaries would go out of control. They can't. There's a cap. GMs would have to be smart as hell. And I think the smart ones would be fine. And I think they'd keep all their young players. But the teams that disrespect their young players and play hardball and maybe we'll hold them out, when they don't have anything to support them, they lose them. So that's where, like I said, the smart GMs are going to show up right away. Anyways, so that's my thought. You know, Monahan's a great player. He's going to be great for Calgary for years. CC is a fantastic young defenseman who should complement their defense core for years. But to me, the bigger story is the way that free agents are negotiated with and the idea that they're still the property of the team that owns them, even though free agent is after their name. They're not really a free agent.